So, hello and welcome to encounter number 17. This is the final encounter of HE 101, the beginning of the Hebrew first course. The second course will cover the second half of the book from chapter 18 to the end of the book. Right now, this is the end of the Qal verb for us in the strong roots. Of course, the treatment of the Qal weak roots is going to be later in the book, but we're going to look at some of them today with vav-consecutive. Before we get started, are there any questions or anything you want to go over as a group before we head into our material and talk what we've got this week? No, we're all good.
No particular questions, no.
All right. So let's go ahead and start with the PowerPoint. Up. Yeah. All right, this is PowerPoint. We are looking at beginning biblical Hebrew, encounter 17, the Qal Vav Consecutive. Today's 21st of May, 2020. Before we start, I wrote up there, Sheilot Kshayim. If you have any questions or difficulties, we will go over that. All right, so here we go. Joseph's big reveal. Every week we're reading a bit about Joseph. This week we encountered his big reveal. Was it this week or last week? I didn't really, honestly, I didn't read the story this week because I'm kind of weirded out by the way that they've arranged it with the analysis that they're trying to do. It looks to me like a headache. So I didn't really read it. I just pulled a couple of pieces.
You mean how it was formatted?
Yeah, where it's like it's lining up with that.
That was very awkward for me.
Yeah, when I looked at it, I just gave up.
Yeah, I honestly didn't read this story, but I've read it many times, so it's not good. So we're going to start with this verse. What does this say here? Ward, what's that say for us?
Did you ask me to read it?
Yeah.
Ani Yosef Achim. So I am Joseph, your brother.
Okay, and then we have this expositional phrase telling us who Joseph is. Okay, well, can you just finish that up for me?
You're not coming through very clearly, Joseph or Jason.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I didn't get any of that, Jason.
I'm sorry about that. Could you go ahead and just read the rest of the verse right there? Can you hear me?
You asked one of us to continue reading, did you?
Yeah, if you don't mind.
You, John.
Okay. Asher Mikratem OT meets Raima.
Mitzrayma, okay. What is that Mechartem? This one here. Machar.
Looks like a participle.
It's just perfect. The tem
Is that from? Is that from to rule? Is that the to rule?
That would be mashal.
Okay.
Mashal tem. Machar is the verb. Machar limkor. To sell.
Ah.
To sell. So mechartem is the perfect second masculine plural. You sold.
Whom you sold?
Mm-hmm. So I am Joseph, your brother, Achichem. The chem is you, like plural. Achichem. Asher mechartem, whom you sold me. Asher mechartem oti Mitzrayma. What is Mitzrayma?
Egypt.
To Egypt, yeah. The ending is to.
Oh, the yeah. To
Mm-hmm.
Egypt.
All right, so Ani Yosef Achichem Asher Mechartem Oti Mitzrayma. I want to do something a little bit different in this lesson by asking some questions in Hebrew. And you can answer in as simple sentences as you like. But if you want to make the sentences longer, full sentence, it would be great. So number one. Ha'im means yes or no, right? Ha'im achei Yosef machru oto lemitzrayim. Ha'im achei Yosef machru oto lemitzrayim. What does that mean? Ha'im achei Yosef machru oto lemitzrayim. The verb is machar, like machartem. Okay? Ha'im achei Yosef machru oto lemitzrayim.
Do the ha'im achei? What is that?
Achei is brothers of. Construct.
And the ha'im is if?
Oh, ha'im is, it's from if, yes. It just means yes or no. It's asking a question.
Oh, okay.
It's like ara in Greek. It's just marking. Remember that originally there were no question marks. And so ha'im would be an indicator of a question.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. All right, so what would your answer be? Ha'im achei Yosef machru oto lemitzrayim.
I don't know how to say yes.
Neither do I. I can say no. Low.
So let's not say yes. Let's just say they did this to him there. Like, you don't need to say yes necessarily. You could just answer with the sentence that they ask you. In modern Hebrew, we say ken. Ken means yes.
Malku, ito la Mitzrayim.
Machru oto lemitzrayim. Achei Yosef machru oto lemitzrayim. Yeah. If the answer were no, we do have a word for no in Hebrew, in biblical Hebrew. What is the word for no?
Would be low.
Lo. Achei Yosef lo machru oto lemitzrayim. Lo machru oto lemitzrayim. All right, John, what do you think of this one? Ha'im avi Yosef machar oto lemitzrayim. Notice avi, singular, machar, singular, machru, plural. Ha'im avi Yosef machar oto lemitzrayim.
Okay, I should know what a V is, but
Av, ach. Ach, brother. Av, father.
okay,
Av,
so
like Abba.
So the answer would be Lo Havi Yosef Maru
Lo machar. Avi Yosef lo machar.
Makar
Lo machar.
Oto Lemitzrayim.
הוא לא מכר אותו למצרים. אבי יוסף לא מכר אותו למצרים. אוקיי? האם אחי יוסף, מכרו אותו למואב? word? האם אחי יוסף מכרו אותו למואב?
אחי יוסף לא מלהו יוסף למואב.
אוקיי, אחי יוסף לא מכרו אותו למואב, כי אם למצרים, כי אם, but rather.
כי אם למצרים.
למצרים.
Could you also say כהים מצרים?
כי אם מצרימה. מצרימה.
That'd be okay?
Mitzrayma.
Okay.
Just notice there's a difference between Achi Yosef and Achei Yosef. Achei is plural and Achi is singular.
Ah, yes.
Okay? אחי יוסף מכרו אותו למצרים, לא למואב. Great. מי מכר את יוסף למצרים? מי מכר את יוסף למצרים? ג'ון, אתה יודע? מי מכר את יוסף למצרים?
Does me mean where?
No, who? Who? מי מכר את יוסף למצרים? Because Mitzrayim tells us where, and Yosef tells us whom, but the question, who sold? מי מכר את יוסף למצרים?
So the Ahe Yosef Makru Oto the Mitzrayim.
מושלם. אחי יוסף מכרו אותו למצרים. Okay? מספר 5, 5. Word. לאן אחי יוסף מכרו אותו? לאן? מכרו אותו למואב, או לירדן, או ליוון? לאן?
I think I know this is Leman Ahi Malku et Yosef
אחי יוסף מכרו אותו.
Li Kesef.
זה בכסף. בכסף. So the question then would be במה. במה מכרו אותו. או לאן means to where. To where.
Ah, okay.
Egypt, Moab, Jordan, Greece. לאן אחי יוסף מכרו אותו?
Ahi Yosef Malku.
אחי יוסף.
Ahe, sorry. Ahe Yosef Makru Oto Le Misraim.
למצרים. Okay. זה יותר קשה. This is more difficult. I don't know if we're going to have an answer for this one, but let's think. Lama means why. Lama. Lama אחי יוסף מכרו אותו מצרימה? And the answer would be, הם מכרו את יוסף מצרימה כי. Ki is because. Ki. Why did they sell him to Egypt? Lama מכרו אותו מצרימה?
I don't know how to conjugate this verb. It's the nase, to hate.
Sane.
Sameu. Samu.
אחי יוסף מכרו אותו מצרימה כי הם שנאו אותו. שנאו.
Okay.
San'u, they hated. Okay? They sold him to Egypt because they hated him. Lama אחי יוסף מכרו אותו מצרימה? הם מכרו אותו כי שנאו אותו. שנאו, הם שנאו אותו. All right, we have another little story. ועתה לא אתם שלחתם אותי הנה. Hena means to here. What's shalach? Shlachtem?
They sent.
Right, you sent. So
You sent.
Ve'ata means and now. Lo atem, not you. Lo atem shlachtem oti hena. Not you sent me here. Ki ha-Elohim. Ki here means ki'im, but rather. Not you sent me here, but God. Okay, that's what Joseph was saying to his brothers. He says, Joseph doesn't blame them. He doesn't blame them. He's saying, it's not your fault. You didn't send me to Egypt, but it was God's doing. Okay? Lo atem shlachtem oti hena. ki ha-Elohim. All right, so here are our questions. Ha'im ha-Elohim shalach et Yosef leMitzrayim? John? Ha'im ha-Elohim shalach et Yosef leMitzrayim?
So the answer would be Ha'Elohim Shalah et Yosef leMitzrayim.
נכון. ואם אני שואל, מי שלח את יוסף למצרים? האלוהים. האלוהים שלח את יוסף למצרים. האם אחי יוסף שלחו אותו למצרים? האם אחי יוסף שלחו אותו למצרים? Ward, what would you say according to this, the line at the top?
אחי יוסף לא שלחו אותו למצרים כי האלוהים.
אוקיי, האלוהים שלח אותו למצרים. שוב, ג'ון, שוב פעם, again. מי שלח את יוסף למצרים?
And me's why?
מי? Who?
Who?
Oh, sorry.
מי
See,
שלח?
there's my short-term memory.
מי שלח את יוסף למצרים?
Elohim Shalah et Yosef leMitzrayim.
נכון, 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 right, correct. מי שלח את יוסף למצרים? האלוהים שלח אותו למצרים. Good. We're going to learn in chapter 18 for the next course. You can say here, Ha'Elohim shalach et Yosef lemitzrayim, God sent Joseph to Egypt, or you can say, Yosef nishlach lemitzrayim, Joseph was sent. That's nifal, nishlach, that's a passive. Number 4, fill in the blank. Lo avi Yosef shalach oto mitzrayma, ki... Okay. Ward, Lo avi Yosef
It's like
Mitzrayim.
Elohim.
Ki ha-Elohim. Ha-Elohim. Ki, in this context, the word ki means ki'im. In most contexts in the Bible, it's going to say ki'im, like this joined together, ki'im. And that means except or but, rather. Okay? So that's the use of the word ki in this context. Okay, the next one. All right, John, do you have any clue what this one is? If we have ach is brother, av is father, how do we say mother?
Presumably, Emo's his mother.
Imo is his mother. The word mother is em, and Imo is his mother. Okay, can you read that sentence to us and fill in the blank?
Lo Emo Shalach Shalacha
Shalcha
to Mitzrayim ki
Mitzrayma.
Yes. Mitzrayima ki Elohim
Elohim.
Ho.
What do you think the O is? We know Shalach is he sent. Shalach is he sent. So
Sent
what is
him?
Yes, the O is him. Shlacho means he sent him. Okay, so ha-Elohim shlacho shama. God sent him there. Hena is to here, and shama is to there. Okay?
Now I had a question.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, at the end of Mitzrayim in that last one, there's the directional
Exactly.
and
Just like it is here shama, here it is mitzrayma. The ma means two. Also the hey on the henna here is also directional. Henna means to here, shama means to there, and mitzrayma means to Egypt. All right, we're going to look at narrative past. We say narrative past because the vav consecutive is basically, it's for the concept of is, think of the ancient Israelites telling stories and passing on cultural values and historical experiences by using narrative. Basically, there was a special form of the verb for narrative. We see from Ugaritic, I understand, that there was a different, we had the perfect, we had the imperfect, and then we had a narrative past for telling stories. The narrative past, the perfect form was in Ugaritic yaktul, and the narrative past was yaktulu. Apparently in Proto-Semitic this distinction existed, and when it came into Hebrew, it dropped the u ending, and so it looked like the imperfect, it looked the same, and Hebrew created the narrative past with a vav prefix. So we're going to look at basically the idea of how it worked. The form of the narrative past looks like the imperfect or jussive. We know that the jussive and imperfect generally look the same. It looks like one of those. It has va with dagesh attached to the jussive or imperfect form. If it's an aleph in the first person, because ani elech, ani eshpot, I will judge, ani eten, I will give. The aleph can't take dagesh, obviously, so it rejects it and it becomes va instead of with dagesh. Compensatory lengthening. Normally, when you're going to use the vav consecutive, when you see the vav consecutive, somewhere before it, there's something establishing time. There's normally some kind of time indicator before the string begins. So it could happen with a temporal prepositional phrase like after these things. It can begin with an infinitive construct like when he heard, bishom o, when he heard, and that would establish the time in the past. Or it could begin with vayehi. Vayehi doesn't have to always be translated. Sometimes it's just a marker of the beginning of a past tense narrative. So let's look, before we get into specific text, I made a list for you. Oh, I made a list for you of, how do I turn this off? Maybe like this. Ah, made a list of vav consecutive forms that I think I sent to the group already, maybe not. You can see just by comparing that in the left it's a perfect shamar, he kept. And then in the middle you've got yishmor, he will keep. And then the vav consecutive, vayishmor.
We're not seeing anything.
Oh, I thought it would share automatically. Let me fix this. Okay, you see it now?
Yes, yes.
Very sorry. So we've got shamar, yishmor, vayishmor. Okay. We've got shamru, they kept, yishmeru, they will keep, and vayishmeru, they kept. The vav consecutive is going to be used to create a chain of verbs within a story. Okay, we're going to see how it works in just a minute. Just want to show the forms real quick. That nafal, yipol is the future, he will fall, imperfect. Vayipol, he fell. Yiplu, vayiplu. Vayiplu, they fell. Epol, vayepol, I fell. Okay, you see the similarities between the imperfect and that. Once we get to first aleph, we start to see some changes. So yomar is he will say, yomar, but vayomer with the accent shift, vayomer. Then it's yomru, vayomru, it's the same. Omar, vaomar, it's the same. Yochal, vayochal, looks the same. Where we have yesof, vayesof. These all look the same between the imperfect and vav consecutive. I sent this list to you. Third hey drops the hey on the end of the word. So bacha, he cried. Yivke, he will cry. Vayevk. That kaf is still hard on the end of the word. The vowel is dropped, and you're left with vayevk. Yivku, vayivku, evke, vayevke. You don't need to know these forms, you just need to recognize them, basically. You see them, and you say, oh, that's obviously vav consecutive. It's got that vav, it's got the doubled first initial, like the prefix. So yir'eh vayar. Vayar we see in Genesis chapter 1 that we've already been working with. Ya'aseh vaya'as. He did. Okay? And we'll cover the rest of the forms in the second course. It's not that important. We'll go back to our PowerPoint. Don't worry about the forms right now. I just want you to have them so that you can use them for comparison. You don't need to learn them. All right, so this passage should be familiar to you. Genesis 1:1-5. What we see, as I said about the vav consecutive, is that first you see a time marker. Bereshit. Bereshit is a time marker in the beginning, right? After you have a time marker, you would, like this first verse here is going to tell us generally what that time marker is talking about. In the beginning, when God created the heaven and earth. Okay, I'm going to pull this text into a different layout, kind of like what they did in the book. It was a pain in the, to the eyes. At the top, you've got Bereshit. That's our time marker. And then you see all the red ones. These are vav consecutives. Okay, so the first two verses of Genesis are a setup. They're background information that's leading us into the narrative. Okay, the narrative is carried along by vav consecutive forms: vayomer, vayhi, vayar, vayavdel, vayikra, vayhi, vayhi. So, and he said, and it was, and he saw, and he separated, and he called, and it was, and it was. These carry the narrative forward step by step. Anything that's before that is, in this case, setting up the background that we need to know before we start the story. So, in the beginning, when God created the heavens and the earth was formless and void, and darkness upon the face of the deep, and the Spirit of God, or a great powerful wind, swirling over the face of the waters. That's the background. And God said, let there be light. And there was light. And God saw the light, that it was good. So that's the story starts when God has his first speech action. Everything else, all the purple, all those verbs in purple, besides the word bara, which is part of the actual time expression itself, all of those are additional information, but are not necessarily part of the narrative itself that's carried forward with vav consecutives. Here we have Genesis 40, 1-5. Don't need to read it all. The first word is vayhi. Second phrase is achar dvarim ha'ele, after these things. After these things. It came to pass after these things that the chief cupbearer and the baker sinned against the king, okay, against Pharaoh. So if you look at it the same with this layout again, the top vayehi establishes that we're talking about the past tense. It says after these things. It gives us a time. That's the setup. And then we start with a string of vav consecutives. Vayiksof, vayiten, vayifkod, vayisharet, vayu, vayachlemu. So that is what we're pointing out. The two phrases that you see here are apposition, meaning that they're appositives. So it says the two servants of the king. One, and then the first appositive says the chief cupbearer and the chief baker. The second apposition says what is the jail, because they were put in the jail, Beit HaSohar, and then it gives us a further definition of it, the place where Joseph was held prisoner. And at the bottom we have a final line that is a exposition on the whole idea of each person having his own dream, and that each dream had its interpretation. The point is that you only need to see that the vav consecutives jump from verb to verb, and that's how the story is carried along. That's the point of vav consecutive, to tell a story in the past. First, it sets up the time, and then it gives the verbs in a series. Okay? So that's basically what we're talking about in the whole idea of the vav consecutive. It can also happen in the future. The future will obviously use the perfect, and it will have a vav attached to it. Normally, the first person ani, the second person ata, and the first person anachnu will switch the accent of the verb. So in Deuteronomy chapter 6, where you have, and you shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, it's ve'ahavta, not ve'ahavta, but ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha. That's from the second line of the Shema. And so just as Vayahi is a marker of narrative past, this can happen that Vehaya, Haya we think is the past tense, Vehaya would be in the future. So it can be used in prophetic utterances and such. So in Zechariah chapter 14, Vehaya Adonai lemelech al kol haaretz, the Lord will become king over all the earth. Vehaya Adonai lemelech al kol haaretz. Okay? So far, so good?
Jason, some time ago on the Biblical Hebrew Forum, there was a lot of discussion about something called the Prophetic Perfect.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Rolf Ferruli
Really,
was one
right.
of the apparent experts or possible experts on the subject. Is that related to, for example, you've got a reference to prophetic utterance?
It really isn't, because this has to do with the vav consecutive.
Yeah, that's what I wondered.
The prophetic perfect is supposedly the use of a perfect proper, a perfect by itself that's not connected to vav.
Okay, good.
Yeah, it's a different beast. I'm still torn on it because I was taught prophetic perfect when I was in Bible college, so it kind of stuck in my head, and I don't know, I haven't investigated it enough to take a position on it. All right, so this is an example of using the perfect with vav consecutive to show the future. I want to read this one real quick. This one says, Shamor tishmerun. That's an infinitive absolute with an imperfect. So you shall surely keep. Shamor tishmerun et mitzvot Adonai. You shall surely keep the commandments of the Lord, Elohechem, your God. Ve'edotav vechukav asher tzivacha. Tzivach is like tzivecha. It means he commanded you. So you shall surely keep the commandments of the Lord your God and his testimonies and his statutes, which he commanded you. Ve'asita, this should be ve'asita under the normal rules. Not sure why the accent doesn't shift here, but it's okay. Ve'asita hayashar va'atov be'inei Adonai. And you shall do what is upright and good in the eyes of God, the Lord. Leman yitav lach, okay, and so that it will be good for you. Uvata v'yarashta et haaretz hatova asher nishba Adonai la'avotecha. So, shamor tishmerun, you shall surely keep, like you keep a commandment. You shall surely keep. Let's look at, this is how it lines up if we're looking at in this analysis. You shall surely keep the commandments of the Lord your God and his edot and his chukim, his testimony and statutes, which he has commanded you. Okay, so this is the generic commandment. Generic commandment, you shall do, or you shall keep, and then it says, V'asita hayashar v'atov, and you shall do what is upright and good in the eyes of the Lord. Asita is a perfect, it's a past tense. But ve'asita is a continuation of the commandment. The commandment, shamor tishmerun, you shall surely keep, is continued in the next verse with a turned perfect. The perfect is now for the future. You shall surely keep, and you shall do. The second half of the next verse is a purpose clause. Lema'an says so that. So that. So once lema'an says so that, the verb after it's going to be imperfect because it's so that this will happen. So it will be good for you. Uvata, the continuation of that, so that is going to be in the perfect, and you shall come. V'yarashta, and you shall inherit. It's again the perfect, it's the past tense. You shall inherit the good land which the Lord your God, the Lord swore to your fathers. So nishba is the perfect, just like at the top where we have asher as exposition as well. The point that you should get from it is the continuation of the vav consecutive, both in the perfect and in the imperfect, depending on the tense. If you're talking in the future, you're going to use the perfect with vav consecutive. If you're talking in the past, you're going to use the imperfect with vav consecutive. Kind of neat, but that's basically how it works. We just need to talk about the exam. I personally love exams. I love to take tests, and I like to do them for fun. I take tests online just because I want to. Some people don't like exams, and I know and I understand. But we do need to have something just to show that you learned something from the course, and that you get the certificate. So the exam will consist of the following. Basically identifying nouns and their suffixes. We had an issue in this encounter with the word ach, brother, ach. Brother of is achi Yosef, Joseph's brother, one brother, achi Yosef. Brothers is achim, and brothers of is achei, with tzere, achei Yosef. So that's an issue with. I won't use ach because it's rather irregular, but I will put other nouns that will have endings, and you just just to explain what's the difference between if we use sus, susav and suso. Susav is horses and suso is horse, one horse. That kind of thing with the endings. I know it's a pain, but we gotta look at it. With vocabulary multiple choice. I'm not gonna say know all of the vocabulary, but multiple choice for the most common words that we've gone over. Number 2, parsing some strong verbs in the called perfect, imperfect, imperative, and active participle. Woo! So the worksheet that I gave you last week basically covers the idea. That you just need to look, when you see a verb, if I give you a sentence and I highlight the verb, be able to say that it's perfect or imperfect, or maybe it's a participle or it's an imperative. Yeah? And then to say what person, gender, and number, and that, okay? Number 3, what's that?
So your list is kind of incomplete there. It doesn't include infinitives.
Yeah. With the parsing, I'm going to focus on these 4 things.
Okay.
So translating some sentences of adapted text with a restricted vocabulary set, or I'll give you the words that you're not responsible for, just to fill in the words, the vocabulary, so that you'll be able to look at the vocabulary help and translate the text. And from the daily reading, you choose which passage you feel more confident in for recital, and the other one read from the screen. Cool? Yes. So be prepared to meet online on Zoom. It'll be next Thursday at the normal time. The test will be open on Moodle, where you'll be able to submit your work. I'll try to get that done early so you can get in there and submit it even like a couple of days before the Zoom meeting. Zoom will be open for any questions, not recorded. Next week we're not recording anything, just meeting as us.
Jason, did you just say the exam will be on Moodle a couple of days before our class?
Yeah, that's what I want to do. I want to get it. I want to get it on there so that you can deal with it before we meet to actually to do the audio portion.
And will we need a computer that will type Hebrew?
No.
Actually, I mean, I've got a computer. It will type Hebrew, but it doesn't have a camera. So
I don't think there's, maybe, no, if I ask roots, maybe I'll do multiple choice. I don't want to make you type Hebrew. Not at this point. So, all right, are there any questions or anything you want to deal with? We still have plenty of time. I think it would be a good idea to maybe practice some reading. And as we practice reading, also do parsing. Yeah? Okay. All right, so let's take our books. And maybe we'll look at chapter 16. Here's chapter 17, it's a headache.
I actually retyped chapter 17 out, just like normal. And
Yeah.
it wasn't very hard because most of it just actually follows Deuteronomy 45.
Oh,
There are
really?
very few changes that I had to make.
Do you want to look at it then? It's just all the boxes. The boxes are what give me a headache. Like I don't understand why these boxes are there.
The boxes, I think he said, were supposed to be
Speech.
direct speech.
Hmm.
On
It's
my
just,
on my copy on Logos, it was just unreadable. It was part of the problem, though.
Yeah, when I open it on Logos desktop, and it makes it so big it doesn't even fit on the screen. It's so ugly. I actually opened it on the online Logos version, and then it was much more readable. I don't know why. Like the one in the browser. All right, so we'll go to page 150. Maybe I'll pull that up on the screen also from logos.com. So that we've got it. All right, here is the text on Logos. You see, it's much more readable on Logos. I don't know why. On their website, I mean. So, Vayhi Yosef olech livkot. This is not from the Bible. This is added. They added that because it's, I guess they figured it was easier than what's actually in the Bible. I don't think it's easier than what's in the Bible, but let's see. This is chapter 45, right? Yeah. So let's see Genesis chapter 45, and we'll see what's actually in the Bible, just so we can have that in our heads real quick. Come on, go. No. I click and I click and I click and it doesn't move. Okay, 45. All right, so this is where our text actually starts to quote. If you see it right here, Vayikra, Shilchu Cholish Me'alai. Vayikra. So we've got Vayikra here. He doesn't say send, he says Hotziu, send them out. So this is what's actually written in the Bible. V'lo yachol Yosef litapek lechol hanitzavim alav. This they erased, and instead they wrote Vayhi Yosef olech livkot. And it came to pass Joseph is going to cry, which seems weird to me. But okay, so there we go. Vayhi Yosef olech livkot.
So I kind of read that as Joseph, that's like a male singular participle, walking to cry.
Well,
is that right?
Instead of walking, say going.
Going.
Yeah. I don't
kind of
know
got the impression it was supposed to be going outside or something, I thought.
But what he did was actually send everybody out. He didn't go outside. He sent all of the people who were standing over him. He told them to leave.
Yeah.
So I don't think we're supposed to imagine him actually going somewhere. But again, this is their reconstructed text. It's not biblical. So let's see the. Yeah. Okay. They didn't give anything useful. I don't like it. If I say "Hu olech livkot" in modern Hebrew, It means like he's about to cry. He's going to cry, you know? And it's not a biblical expression, so it's kind of weird for me. Okay, so this is the verb vayikra. This is vav consecutive. Vayikra. What is vayikra?
It's Qal Vav Consecutive imperfect.
Mm-hmm.
And he, so it's a masculine singular. What he,
Third masculine singular, he called.
yeah.
Mm-hmm. Very nice. If I do annotate, I can put text here. Okay, so we're saying it is Qal Vav consecutive, imperfect, third masculine singular of kara, meaning he called, right? So that's basically what we're going to do for parsing. Qal Vav consecutive, imperfect, third masculine singular of kara, meaning he called. Again, you won't need to write the root, I don't think, because I don't expect you to type in Hebrew. Okay. So vayikra. What did he call? What did he call out?
Tishlehu kol ish malai.
May alai.
May alai.
May alai. And this one, shilchu. Shilchu. What is shilchu?
I had to I didn't get all of this done, but I had to work through them. And so that's the imperative.
Yep. The imperfect would be tishlechu.
Imperative, and so it's masculine plural.
Mm-hmm.
So they sent.
Okay, so
Well, actually,
send.
Send, but it's plural, like you all send.
So it's called imperative,
Right.
second masculine plural of shalach, right? Meaning send. Send ye. Because it's plural. Send ye. Okay. So send shilchu chol ish me alai. May alai from upon me. Like I feel like these people are on me. Just get out of here. Send everyone away from me. Kol ish, every man. Shilchu chol ish me alai. Okay. So far, so good.
The May Ali, is that two prepositions with a pronominal suffix?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So stuck together, the two prepositions.
It is. So al.
Min and now.
It's min. Okay, min. Min plus al plus ani, meaning I, right? Okay, so min plus al plus I, may, and it's may alai, like this. May alai. May alai. It's actually a pausal form. The normal form for alai is with normally like this, but in pause it's kamatz. May alai, from upon me. Okay? Good call that it's two prepositions. Okay, John, you want to read the next line here?
Below Ahmad Ish Ito.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Notice he said, send every person from me, or from upon me, right? And then the resultant phrase was, and Velo amad ish ito. What does it mean?
Ahmad is a mystery,
Amad stood.
and so he did not stand.
So the subject is ish.
Oh,
A man did not stand.
um,
With him.
with an okay.
With
So
him.
that's at as the preposition, not the
Yeah.
direct object marker.
So no man stood with him. Means that they all left, right? No man stood with him. Lo amad ish ito. Everybody left. Okay? Be'emor lahem ki hu Yosef achihem. Be'emor. Emor, what root is that?
Amar, to say.
To say. And what form is emor, do you think? Emor.
I think it's an infinitive construct.
Infinitive construct it is, yes. So we've got be'emor is in saying, or when he said. It would probably actually be in the Bible be'omro, because it would have the vav suffix. When he said, be'emor, in saying, or when saying, lahem, to them, ki, that, who, Yosef, achihem, he is Joseph, their brother. So no man stood with him when he said to them that he is Joseph, their brother. He was Joseph. Okay. All right, Ward, what do we have in verse 2 here? First, notice the structure. We've got Vayiten, Vayishme'u, Vayishma, Vayomer. All of these are vav consecutive. That's the movement of the story, one piece to the next.
Vayiten et kolhu.
Kol
Kol-u. Is that right? Kol-o. 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 Biv-kol. Biv-ki.
Bivchi.
Biv-chi.
Bivchi in crying, in weeping.
So that's vav consecutive. I think that's Natan. He put. And he put.
He put or gave.
He put his voice in crying.
Meaning that he would say he gave his voice. It means that he cried out loud, right? Vayitenet kolo bivchi. He gave his voice in crying or in weeping. All right. What is this one? The next one there, John?
Vayishmeu Mitzrayim, and
What is the verb? Shama.
dwell.
No, Shama, this one. You can see my camera. Shama. Yishmeu. Yishmeu, Shomea. Shama. Hearing. So, and they heard. Vayishmeu. Shomea, hear. Hear, O Israel, the Lord is our God. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu. Vayishmeu Mitzrayim. Vayishmeu Mitzrayim.
Mitzrayim.
Shema. Vayishmeu Mitzrayim. Is it got your stump? stuck on it?
So they heard,
Mm-hmm.
and then we got Egypt, but that
Yeah.
doesn't make a lot of sense.
Well, Egypt is a group of people, right? It's a country. This is what we generally call, according to sense, ad sensum. Have you heard of that?
I heard the term, but
Okay, so ad sensum, or construction, constructio ad sensum, means that in this case, Egypt is a singular noun, singular, but in nature, in reality, the real sense of it is that Egypt is a lot of people. So the verb is reflecting the plurality of the group. So it says, and Egypt heard. And
also
Egypt heard.
okay. Oh,
That's the subject of the verb.
verb. Okay, now yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, it's it could have said Vayishma Mitzrayim, Vayishma Chol Mitzrayim, all Egypt heard, but it could say Vayishme'u Chol Mitzrayim, all of Egypt heard, and that's the construction to the sense. Yeah. So sometimes it would say Ha'am Holech, the people go, or it would also say, like in Isaiah chapter 9, in one verse it says Ha'am Holech b'choshech, and the next one says Ha'am Ha'olchim. Like in one it's singular and the other it's plural. One is the grammatical gender and one is the ad sensum according to the natural gender, or not gender, number, excuse me. And that's what we have here. This is the Vayishme'u is the natural number, that it's a lot of people. And Mitzrayim is a collective. So it's technically singular, but it represents a lot of people. Okay? Word, the next one. Vayishma Beit Paro.
Vayishma would be the call, imperfect vav consecutive, second masculine,
Third.
Singular. No, third. Oh, yeah, he, third, yeah. Third masculine singular. The house of Pharaoh heard.
Yeah, the house of Pharaoh heard. Beit Paro, Yishme'u, Shamu, they heard. Vayomer Yosef el Echav. Echav is the plural, his brothers. Joseph is the subject. Vayomer is the Qal Vav Consecutive imperfect, third masculine singular of Amar, meaning, and he said. Vayomer Yosef el Echav, Joseph said to his brothers. And this is the recorded speech, I guess, in the box. What can you read the whole box to us, John? Break it down.
Ani Yosef Ha'od Abi Ha.
Hi.
I am Joseph.
Okay, this is the first word. There is actually two words. It's ha and od. Ha is, it's not the article here, it's a question mark. It's marking the question.
And I forget what Ode is.
Od is yet, still, longer.
And then
Is yet. Ha od. What's avi? It's av with e,
brother.
my. Not brother, but the other relation.
Oh, father. Oh, yeah. So is my father still alive?
Is my father still living? Is my father still alive?
So the I is the irregular. Aha.
So od is yet, and ha-od is yet, or does yet. Does yet my father live? Ha-od avi chai. Ma'od Avichai. Okay, Ward, what about the next sentence? Read 2 lines, please.
Velo Yachlu
Mm-hmm.
Echav
Mm-hmm.
La'anot it Oto, sorry. Ki Ki Baru Mi Panav.
ולא יכלו אחיו לענות אותו, כי יראו מפניו. Okay, what do you make from that?
I think the first one is they were not able, the brothers were not able,
His brothers, right?
Ahev.
Chav, his brothers.
Then here we have an infinitive, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
They were not able to answer. Le anot
La'anot.
him.
Him. Hmm? So
Oto, him.
they were not able, his brothers, that is the subject, his brothers were not able to answer him. La'anot oto, to answer him. Because
Ra'u, they feared his face.
they feared from his face. That's how you say they were afraid in front of him. They were afraid of him. Ya'u mipanav, they were scared of him. So his brothers could not answer him because they were scared of him. Okay? Number 4 says, Vayomer Yosef elechav. Vayomer, Joseph said, this is Qal Vav Consecutive imperfect, third masculine singular of Amal, meaning he said. Joseph said to his brothers, El Echav, Kirvuna Elai. Kirvuna Elai. The na is pray tell. Pray, please. Kirvu, draw close. Come close, please, to me. Kirvuna Elai. Please come close to me. Okay? John, you want to read the next couple of bits?
And Yakravu Vaomer.
Vayomer.
So these are 2 vav consecutives.
Mm-hmm.
And they
It's the same that was in the imperative in the line above it. The imperative tells them, do it, and then it says they did it. It's the result of the imperative.
and they drew near.
Yeah, they drew near.
And
They drew near.
And he, Joseph, said.
Mm-hmm. Keep going if you would. This one we did in the PowerPoint.
Right. The Yosef Achichem.
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 E in the middle is singular. Achichem, your brother. If it's Achichem with Serei, it means your brothers. Achichem and Achichem.
Achichem. Asher Mekartim.
Mechaltem.
Oh, Mechaltem. Switch into English there. Mechaltem. Oti Mitzrayim ha.
Mitzrayim.
Yeah.
Mitzrayim.
Mitzrayim. Who you sold me to Egypt, into Egypt.
This is definitely a way in which Hebrew is different from English. In English, you don't say this. You say, I am Joseph, your brother, whom you sold into Egypt or to Egypt. In Hebrew, when you have a relative clause, you repeat all of the pieces that go with it. So machal is sold, tem is atem, you sold, and oti is me. You sold me into Egypt. You sold me into Egypt. And they join those two sentences together in Hebrew. I am your brother Joseph, which you sold me into Egypt. We wouldn't repeat the me in English. But in Hebrew, even if, let's say that instead of ani, it says who. Who Yosef achichem, he is Joseph your brother. Well, I can't write with this thing, but okay. Who Yosef achichem, asher mechaltem oto. Oto Mitzrayma. He is Joseph your brother, whom you sold him into Egypt. It always repeats that, but in English you don't. So instead of saying you sold him into Egypt, let's say you gave him money. Gave, natan, okay? Natatem, you gave. Okay, natatem, lo, you gave to him. You gave him kesef, money. Okay? Okay, na, ta, stress, tem, natatem, lo, you gave him money, kesef. Let's change this and say you gave me money. Li, natatem li kesef. Ani Yosef achichem, asher natatem li kesef. You say you gave money to me, even though in English you would say to whom, like la asher, to whom you gave money. The asher relative clause in Hebrew acts really funny compared to how it acts in English. And that's the point, that inside of the clause, it repeats the piece, the agents, for whatever reason. Okay.
Jason, I'm going to have to depart, but
all right, so we'll see you in a couple of days.
yeah, okay, thanks.
We'll see you.
See you, John.
All right, so we just get a bit of reading in. Here we go. Ve'ata al tir'u, don't be afraid. Now, don't be afraid. Ve'al yichar b'neichem be'einechem, do not, let it not be fire heated up in your eyes, ki machartem oti hena, because you sold me here. All right? So don't be afraid and don't be angry that you sold me here. You know? That's the second line.
This was kind of, took a while for me to figure this 5 out. Mm-hmm. And now I just immediately thought all the preposition until I went back and realized, oh no, that's the jussive being used as a negative imperative, right?
Meaning don't do it. Al
right.
Do not be afraid. Al yichar. Yichar is normally third person. It will say yichar, like it's the word chara, and it's yichar, al yichar in your eyes, or al yichar apchem, like your nose. Don't let your nose get heated up, or don't let it be heated up in your eyes, meaning don't be angry. That's what it means. So now, don't be afraid, al tir'u, and don't be angry that you sold me here. You sold me into Egypt. Ki lemichya, or michya is like sustenance, preservation. Shalach oti Elohim lifnechem. Okay? God sent me before you for preservation, or for your preservation.
So that before you is like in the, so lehim is kind of translated, some lepanei would be before sometimes, in front of.
Yeah, lifnei can mean before in time or in position. It can be like I'm standing before you, or I did this before you did it. I did it before you. כי זה שנתיים הרעב בקרב הארץ, ועוד 5 שנים אשר אין חריש וקציר. Okay, so כי זה שנתיים, for this 2 years, the famine in the midst of the land, and another 5 years, ועוד 5 שנים, and another 5 years, אשר אין חריש וקציר. So during which, the asher is referring to the time, so it's during which there will be no plowing or harvest. During which there will be no plowing or harvest. N as a negative particle can be present, future, or past, depending on the context. In this one, he's saying, Od Chamesh Shanim, meaning 5 more years. Asher means when, in this case with time, when there will be no plowing or harvest. Okay?
This verse also, sometimes you don't get things till you actually see them used.
Mm-hmm.
You learn words in context. And this shenatayim, the dual. I saw, oh, that's dual, 2 years.
Yeah, exactly.
So it was just that was kind of exciting to me. I thought, oh, I get it. I see that.
So shana is 1 year and shnatayim, 2 years. Shnatayim. Fantastic. Good, good. All right, verse number 7 done here. Vaishla.
Vaishla oti Elohim lepanechem.
Lifnechem.
Lifnechem. And he sent me, God, Elohim, and Elohim sent me before you.
Lasum lachem she'erit ba'aretz. This is an infinitive complement giving a purpose. Why did God send? Why did God send Joseph ahead of his brothers into Egypt?
See, this is a difficult, because this is a irregular verb, right? Is this seem?
Yeah, this is, I would say lasim. I wouldn't say lasum. But we're going to see that sometimes a root that is middle weak can be e or u, like lalun. Lalun means to lodge, like to sleep somewhere. But sometimes you see it in the Bible as lalin, but it should be lalun, in my opinion. It's like where we get the word malon, hotel. But you see sometimes lalin. And
so this is, and he sent for to place me?
Not for to place me, but for me to place for you. God sent me before you to give you a remnant in the land. Lasim lachem she'erit ba'aretz. To put for you a remnant in the land. In other words, God sent me here so that when it came time, you guys would survive. You would not die. Yeah?
Yep.
What's the next phrase, the next expression?
Vayishlach oti. No, we did that one, right?
Yeah, we're on.
Did we do that one? Was that correct? Right one, 7?
Yep, we're in 7.
Vayishla oti Elohim lifnechem. And so God sent me before you. Lashum lahem. Lasum lachem shimerit be'erit ba'aretz. She'erit.
She'erit is from nish'ar, like to be left. She'erit is what remains, a remainder, a remnant. It's used a lot in the book of Isaiah because he talked about the remnant of Israel that would return from captivity. She'erit. One of Isaiah's children was called She'ar Yashuv. She'ar, a remnant. She'ar Yashuv, a remnant will return. Okay, the next piece of the verse, Ulema'an yihyeh lachem fleta gdola. I think
Lema'an. That's like for the reason, right? For this reason.
so that
it might be to you
an account of something, or it can be in order that. It can be either meaning.
So it'd be for you.
So that you
something great good, isn't it?
a great escape.
Great escape. Okay, great escape.
So that you would have a great escape. That's the gloss they give for plekta. Okay, verse 8. Ve'ata lo atem shlachtem oti hena. This was from the PowerPoint. I guess I did pull it from this chapter. That's good. Ve'ata lo atem shlachtem oti hena ki ha'elohim. And now, not you sent me here, but God. So it wasn't you who sent me here, but God. And I'll keep going because that was short. Vayasem oti le'av lefaro. Vayasem is from lasim, to put. He made me like a father to Pharaoh, I guess is what it means. Ula adon lechol beito, and like a master to all of his house. Umoshel bechol eretz Mitzrayim, and governor in all of the land of Egypt. Okay? Any questions from that?
I've in reality, I'd have 1,000 questions, I think, but I kind of follow you.
He would say he put me for a father to Pharaoh, because he wasn't really like Pharaoh. He should say he put me like a son to Pharaoh, right? Not father to him. Whatever. That's okay. Number 9. Alu.
Alu. And I think, it says down there, that's Allah, to go up. So alu would be the imperative.
Yeah.
Go up to your father.
My
Ahi. Go up to my father, yeah.
Alu el Avi.
El Ahi.
Not Achi. Avi. Alu el Avi.
Ve'amartim alive. Elav, to, and say to him, Elav.
And now we have recorded speech. So go up to my father, and you shall say to him,
Ko amar Benecha Yosef. Thus says bin Hach. Thus says your son Joseph.
Okay. This is what your son Joseph says, or said. Samoti Elohim le'adon lechol Mitzrayim. God has made me master of all of Egypt. Samoti Elohim le'adon lechol Mitzrayim. Reda elai, come down to me. Reda elai. Al ta'amod. Don't, in this case it means don't hesitate. Don't stay where you are. It literally means don't stand. Okay? So, come down to me, do not stand. It means don't just stand there, come down. Come down to me, do not hesitate. Ve'yashavta ve'eretz Goshen. And you shall dwell in the land of Goshen. Yashavta is a vav consecutive perfect, meaning it's the future. Vav consecutive perfect, the accent is shifted and all of that. Okay, next.
11?
The top of the page, still in verse 10.
Oh, okay. Vahayita
V'hayita
Karov Eli.
mhm.
So then he called to them?
And you will be close to me. And you will be
Okay.
V'hayita Karov, close, Eli, to me.
Ata
Mhm.
Ubanecha
Uvanecha,
Ubanecha Ubenech
uvnei
Banechach.
vanecha. Ata uvanecha, uvnei vanecha.
Now,
Not now, but you. Ata,
oh, you, sorry.
now is with
You and your sons
I. Uh-huh.
and the sons of your sons.
Okay, you and your children and the children of your children. You and your children and your children's children. It doesn't have to be boys, it could be girls also.
Okay.
So it could be sons and daughters. You and your children and your children's children. So the 3 generations, right? Vitzoncha,
Zondha, your flocks, they karha, your cattle,
mhm.
ukal, asher, lach, and all that's yours.
Yeah, everything you have. Notice that the lach is pause, it's pausal for lecha. Kol asher lecha, everything you have, in pause, v'chol asher lach. Ufakadati otcha sham, and I shall visit you there. I shall visit. This is also the vav consecutive with the perfect. Ki od chamesh shanim ra'av. For there's famine for another 5 years. Od chamesh shanim ra'av. Famine. Pen tovad ata uvetcha v'chol asher lach. Lest you should perish, you and your house and everything you have. V'chol asher lach. We'll just do the one verse 12 and then that'll be, I think, enough.
Vahidech Enechem Root Va'eneh Achi and Ve'eneh Achi Binyamin. Yeah. And then I didn't get this at all. Kipe.
So fi means peshali, my mouth. Ki fi ha'omer alechem. Okay, so that last line is like Pharaoh making a pronouncement. Behold, I have spoken. He's saying, for it is my mouth that is speaking to you.
Okay.
He's saying, well, okay, maybe he's basically saying, you can tell that it's me and it's not someone else. Because he says, behold, your eyes see and the eyes of my brother Benjamin, that it is my mouth that is speaking to you. In other words, you recognize me. You must recognize me. I'm your son. Okay?
That's interesting. That's a little, there's these cultural ideas of how you express ideas. That's
Yeah.
So
I didn't read through the rest of this.
modern Hebrew would express things a similar way.
I would say, my opinion is that Modern Hebrew and Biblical Hebrew are the same language, but Biblical Hebrew has some flavors that don't exist in modern Hebrew anymore. What I think, what my experience is that, first of all, obviously the vav consecutive doesn't exist in modern Hebrew. That left a long time ago. That was gone by the time of the Second Temple. It was gone. Which is interesting because the prophets who wrote after the return from Babylon were probably using a literary form of the language, because I'm sure they didn't have a vav consecutive in the way that they really spoke. They were just imitating the language of the Bible when they were writing, which is neat. So we don't have vav consecutive. We have far more prepositions, meaning that whereas you have lema'an and ki and obviously the vav preposition, you have all of the things, basically all of the expressions you have in the Bible, and then we've added a lot more. Not we, but whoever, they added over the generation. So we have words that mean for, like for you, like it's intended for you. I bought this present for you. That's a different word than it is. You can say kaniti lecha matana, I bought a gift for you. Or you can say kaniti matana bishvilcha. Bishvilcha is like stronger for you. For your sake, we can say lemancha, which is leman, you just see that over a couple of times. We can say be'adcha is like in your favor. We have a lot of prepositions that didn't exist in the time of the Bible. And some of them that did exist, but have gotten more pointed and specific. But generally, it's the same language with a few words meaning a different thing, like levakesh. Levakesh in our language means to ask for, to request. But in the Bible, it means to seek, to search for. And so we took another word and we gave it the meaning of search, lechapes, and echipasti. But in the Bible, it was bikashti. But we see it in the story of Joseph also, where he was wandering in the field and he ran into the man who asked him, "Who are you looking for?" And he says, "I'm looking for my brothers. They're keeping my father's sheep." And he told them they went to Dothan. But he says, "Ma tivakesh." Tivakesh means in the Bible to search for. Basically, they're the same language with fine details that are different. And the modern language is I think it's able to express itself more clearly. Modern Hebrew is better expressed.
Just another comment on that. Because I'm learning it, I had to go back over the participles and the infinitives again, because I don't recognize them well yet. And that we've talked about the merits and demerits of the historic vowels.
Okay.
But I thought with the infinitive construct, that made total sense. All of a sudden, I see how it worked there perfectly.
I have to
They
tell
did a really good job in the book.
I tell you that I didn't even look at it. To me, the infinitive construct, I don't know how I learned the forms in Hebrew. I just don't know how I learned them. I guess I learned them by memorizing. Like you're memorizing Deuteronomy 6, 4-9, and Genesis 1 through 5. And when you're memorizing text, you're memorizing forms. So you say, B'shoch becha is a form. In your lying down, B'shoch becha. So by memorizing the forms in the passages, like I started to make sense of what they meant, So I never thought about how to form it. I knew that you say lishmoa, to hear, and kishmoa, according to the hearing, kishmoa hamelech, according to the hearing of the king. That means when the king hears. I learned that. I don't know how. I never learned this theory. I've never seen that before. And I looked at it in the book, and it looked so strange to me, the kutul thing, that I just ignored it. I didn't I didn't follow it.
It was really helpful to me.
Maybe you can explain it to me. Because I looked at
Well,
it.
they just used that short U vowel under both parts and showed how that changed depending on the endings. And it went, oh, I get it.
Okay.
The
Well,
kibbutz under
there's
both parts.
definitely a difference between when you have the infinitive construct by itself and when you add it to an ending. Like lishmoa, hear, to hear. But when you say with your, you say shomecha, shomecha, your hearing. Shomecha, shomecha, your hearing.
This table 16.3.
16. You want page it's on?
Yeah, it's on page, I can find it here, 215, I think, or very close to that.
Ah, there it is. Kutul. Okay.
All of a sudden, I worked through that, and I get it. That was very helpful.
Okay, that creates a closed vowel. Kutlam. Cool. All right, makes sense. But honestly, I didn't read it. I ignored it because I just felt like it had enough of the historical vowel thing. I think I told you in the beginning when we did, even when we did nouns, like I could see how it's beneficial, but it was the first time I was learning that too. I'd never gone over that kind of stuff.
It's been helpful, but this was extremely helpful to me.
Good. I'm glad that you got used to it. I think that we spent so much time on vowels and reduction and compensatory lengthening and all the stuff that happens with the various vowels, that there are some things we didn't get to devote time to because we spent maybe too much time on that.
I assume I'm probably like everybody else. I think what I need to do now is just, with the knowledge I have, read a lot over and over again until it kind of starts sinking in a little bit.
Well, this is our final encounter for the course, but I would like to take the next couple of weeks after the exam, like we take the exam next Friday, Thursday, whatever it is, and then the next 2 weeks after that, maybe twice a week if people can do it, meet up and just read. Like just read and read and read. I would recommend that you get yourself some kind of audio Hebrew Bible that you can listen to, and that you don't even translate when you're listening. Just listen to it and follow the text. You know what I mean? When we get off here, I'll give you 2 ideas for recorded versions of the Hebrew Bible. But yeah, I think we should take a couple of weeks just to read, and then go ahead and start up with the nifal, with the next verb stem. Because we got to make it through the nifal, piel, pual, hifil, hufal, and hitpael. All we've done is kal. But the benefit of doing the kal is you cover all of the forms, and then you can add those same endings to the other stems. So that like tishmeru, it's got the taf on the beginning and the u on the end. You're going to add that to hifil or whatever. You add it to all of the other stems, and you don't need to learn new endings. When you cover all of the kal, you have all of the endings, and then you just have to adjust them. So
good.
We are at 4 o'clock. It's been an hour and a half, and that means the last encounter is finished. I'm sad that John had to leave early, and I'm sad that Gio didn't make it at all. I'm sure that they will catch up and finish what we've missed.
Yeah, well, thanks for taking the time to read with me there. That was good.
Good luck on the test. I will get it up as quickly as I can, and then you can start it. You can do the written part of the exam at your leisure. The next Friday is going to be just the daily reading sections.
Okay.
All right.
Good.
We'll see you later.
Thanks so much. Take care. Bye.